Here's my story. It starts with curiosity, because even as a child, I was very, very curious about everything that entailed an entrepreneurial spirit that used the ingenuity of human creativity and ended up in a product. For example, an Uludağ gazozu would excite me so much. I would say, my God, who would think of such a product? And I can enjoy it so much. It's so cold. Just gives me all these feelings, right? And then I would also be excited, the cement mixer truck, you know? Can you imagine the process as it moves along? How much time and cost is saved? So I was very excited with everything that entailed a production process. No wonder I went into business administration twice, first as an undergrad, and then later on as an MBA. But interestingly, I ended up at the Turkish Treasury after being educated for business. Well, that's an interesting story, and my story has interesting twists and turns. I take comfort in knowing that the very famous Steve Jobs had a very famous speech, maybe some of you heard it, and he talks about connecting the dots. You only know you've connected the dots once you're there, right? So going into the future, you don't know where each dot will take you. So I was at the Treasury, and I was, you know, very young, 21, and I had this huge hair, really, Julia Roberts style. You know about that, what I'm talking about? Yeah? Red hair, curly. So that's me back then. And I'm after my question, you know, what defines my question? Everyone, I believe, has a question, and it kind of pushes us out of our comfort zone. My question, going back to my story, was, what can I do to make this happen? So please take this time to think about what your question is. So I'm at the Treasury, 21 years and all, with huge hair, but very hardworking person, very excited, and we have some special projects at hand. So this is the first story I will share with you today, which tells you about me and my question and how it makes me help make change. And we have special projects at our hand. Well, it's no wonder, because the department I work for is called Special Projects Department. So everything we did was special. When I mean special, I talk about a huge case at the time. It's concerning the making of a dam, a hydroelectric power plant, energy resources being, you know, not enough to meet the demand, and us being stuck with completing this case in a very short time. But wait for this, the deal has been stigmatized for 10 years. So I'm there, it's a new project. We have a big hands full with this project, and I'm terrorized. And I have two more senior colleagues who are working with me. And then, all of a sudden, those colleagues are off the case. So me, hardworking and all, left alone with this huge project, and it's not going forward. So it's like an elephant in the room, and I have to do something about it because I'm assigned the case. So is it a valid proposition? Do I really have to do something about it? Yes, we need energy. So how do we go forward? We look at the case, we realize that unless we have a new law that really reflects the complexity of the case, we will not go forward. So we design the system, we design the mechanism, we design the law. So imagine me in the trenches of negotiations, in the trenches of the Türkiye Büyük Millet Meclisi, the parliament, trying to get legislation going forward. It was an incredible 9 months. But the question that kept me at pace was, how can I push this forward? So the takeaway lesson is that no solution is easy, and it will not come very easily to you. But you need a certain toolkit to help you. What my toolkit had in it was curiosity, the question, what can I do to make this happen? And the entrepreneurial spirit, because if you only get stuck in the stigma, you will be part of the stigma. What can I do to lift the elephant? What can I use to remove the elephant? So that's the first story I had for you. So this is way back, like 8 years. I no longer have the red hair or the curly hair. And I'm still at the Turkish Treasury. One day, I put my child to bed. And at the time, I was working for the IMF relations during the time of the economic crisis. And I'm so tired, and I just want to rest and go to bed. And then I open the newspaper, and I see this ad. And I'm like, wow, what was the feeling you guys got when you saw it? Like, so simple, right? And so smart. And it just says the whole story. Meslek lisesi, memleket meselesi. Huge commitment. Who is saying it? Who is behind this? So I was like, oh my God, what a great project. Who's going to lead it? It turns out it will be me. And my curious questions actually prompted me to do things, and it's part of the connecting of the dots. And it just so happened that the person I worked during my IMF relations time joined Koç company. She designed this project and said, I need someone to help me lead it. And when I joined, the Koç family had already committed to the idea that youth employment is an important problem. In fact, it still is. It's part of what the G20 is working on. And unfortunately, there's a huge gap for youth to fill. For example, in South Africa and France and Spain, youth unemployment is around 50%. So this is a huge number. And add on to that, we see that most of the youth is neither in education, nor in training, nor in employment. That means that they are not looking for new versions or next versions of their future. That's a problem for society. So recognizing that, putting their name next to this problem, that they could make a change, Koç invested in this project. But how do you change a situation that, again, has a huge elephant? Because everyone thought that vocational education was a dead end, and the students did not want to go into it. So we actually needed to design a process whereby we could instill change while both going to each individual to change their mind to actually go into vocational training and change the perception of the society at large. For 7 years, we have been actually working on this project. What we did first was to create volunteers, role models, because who would take, who best to give hope than actually the person who has made it through. It turns out that most of our volunteers were also educated through vocational education, and we created this new world. I recently resembled it to the Atlantis case, because it's not seen unless you look for it, and it's kind of a world by itself. And the volunteers actually are the linchpin of the whole deal. We had about 600 volunteers, and afterwards we were able to create new stories of all these different companies, of the Koç group of companies, you know, from Tofaş to Arçelik, from Yapı Kredi at the time to Migros. It was one of Koç companies, Aygaz, Birmot. All of these companies were eagerly involved, day-to-day operations, and we only did this through inspiration and hope and the volunteers. What happened at the end of the day was not only Koç companies came in, but 44 other companies. Maybe you are part of this deal. I don't know if you see your company in it. And luckily now we have about 2,000 students who are creating their own future with the help of role models like that. Another model that came out of this project through the help of volunteers was the school and company working together, because any future is going to be a hybrid future. When I talk about hybrid solutions, I mean that it will have to be multidimensional, multi-party solutions. And in order to create value, you kind of have to find a new promise, a new premise, so that the future can build upon. And with that in mind, we were able to create through our companies many new collaboration models so that they could help the youth in the schools that they worked with to be more employable, to be ready for employment. And this is the next part of the project that we are working on now, so that we can take it to other companies as well. And the third last example is the He for She campaign. This was why we started the case again. Is it a valid case? Yes. Can we do something about it? Well, it's very difficult, but yes, there's always something to be done. And in Turkey, we are like not just the OECD, but overall in Turkey, we are among the very last at the end of the list. And we need to do something in many, many areas. So we started this campaign. You never see Koç. Maybe you've seen all these ads, but you never see Koç because we believe in the change. It doesn't have to be making a case for me, for Koç, but it has to be related to the cause, right? So if more people are going to be undersigned to the project because I'm not there as a signee, I will let it be that way. And sometimes for change, you just have to be a silent leader. And here we have probably the first example of so many different people with so many different views coming together and saying that we as He will voice our support to she. And she here being security, human rights, and empowerment for women. And we are so happy because we reached so many people at the time. And it's continuing. So as in all our projects, there is a question for all of you to ask. What can I do to make this change happen? And it starts with you, always, and courage. So thank you.